You're welcome to this third edition of Your Earning Power. My name is Uduabasi Okon. I am a BFI coach. My job is to move you from whatever point of business and financial intelligence I meet you to a higher and better level. Every episode of Your Earning Power is carefully packaged to help you as an individual or as an enterprise to recognize those things that hinder your progress and also arm you with information and know-how to correct mistakes, to avoid mistakes, and to maximize every resource and every opportunity. Ultimately, my target is to pull you out of financial frustration and usher you into financial sufficiency. Just like your body can suffer physical infections and come down with diseases, your personal or corporate economy can suffer financial infections and come down with financial diseases. And you need expert knowledge to avoid such or to fix such. Today, I am taking the concluding part of the topic, the power of your market value. It is time we began to live by choice rather than by chance. Today, no one has any excuse to wallow in financial frustration because at no time in the history of humanity has there been such easy access to knowledge and information. But you must know, knowledge is only profitable when engaged. So I urge you to do something with what you hear today. I share with you what I do after attending meetings, after sitting through a teaching, after listening to a tape. I sit back and I ask myself, on the basis of what I have heard, what should I stop doing? What should I start doing? What should I do differently? Or what should I keep doing? And so I urge you, if at the first time you listen to this teaching, you cannot answer any of those 4 questions, listen to it again and again and again until you've been able to extract an application of what I'm going to be teaching as it applies to you as a person or to you as an enterprise. In the first part of this teaching, I actually took time to address the meaning of market value and why it is so important to everyone working and everyone who is going to work. By way of a recap, I like to remind us that market value can be defined as the value which the market places on a product or a service or a skill, as evidenced by how much a buyer is willing to pay for such a product, such a service, or such a skill. And there are 2 categories of buyers in this case. First is a direct consumer of a product or a service, and the second is an employer who employs someone with a skill to pay him. Now, I also said that market value is very, very important because it translates into whatever price you can attract for your product, for your service, or for your skill. And so it is suicidal, I said, even in that last teaching, to operate without knowing exactly what your own market value is, what the market value of your product or your service is. And today, I'm going to be focusing on how you measure market value. How do you measure the market value of an individual? How do you measure the market value of a product? And how do you measure the market value of a brand? I start with the individual. So how do you measure the market value of an individual? How do you measure your own market value? Or how do you measure the market value of someone you intend to employ, someone you intend to do business with, or anything? There are 5 things to check for. First, check for vocational alignment. There are 3 levels of vocational alignment. The first level is you recognizing, does this person recognize his or her natural vocational aptitude? The recognition of one's natural vocational aptitude constitutes the first stage of vocational alignment. The second stage of vocational alignment is formal training in the area of one's vocational alignment. Someone who understands he has aptitude for teaching, for example, that's the first stage. A second stage, this person has gone to a professional training program to translate his talent, to translate his charisma into professional competence. Now that is a second level of vocational alignment. The third level of vocational alignment is actual engagement of one's natural vocational aptitude in occupational practice. And so you can measure yourself or you can measure somebody else and tag that person as having a score of 1, 2, or 3, depending on which of those I have enumerated is evident in that person's life. The second thing to check for is character. Under character, you are going to check for existence or absence of personal values, ethics by which that person regulates his or her life. You're going to check for accountability. You're going to check for capacity to make and sustain relationships. And some of the places you will see is that person's track history in terms of social alignment, in terms of the groups he or she belongs to. How long is that person able to stay in a particular social setting? Now, character constitutes 5 points. Now, I move to the next level. You check for level of competence. Now, when it comes to productive capacity, there are actually 4 levels of levels of competence, which we get from the different levels of school we go through. The first is basic life skills. Basic life skills is what we get from school, from the primary school. Now, that's the first level of competence. The second level of competence is having general work skills. And then the third level is having technical work skills. Technical work skills come from going to a vocation school. Any training that gives you skill to practice any profession, that's what those skills are referred to as technical work skills. Why are they called technical? Because the layman cannot do it. And the fourth thing to look out for, check for, is visibility. Visibility. By visibility, I mean physical appeal, the look and feel of that person. Because people, first of all, will buy you as a person. They like what they see before they listen to what you have to say or sell. And so visibility is part of an individual's market value. And the fifth is exposure or experience. Work-specific exposure, work-specific experience. Now, putting these 5 points together, has a total score of 15. And so if you're measuring yourself, you score the number of points you actually got all over 15. If you're measuring somebody else, you score the number of points that person has over 15. Now, that is how you measure market value for an individual. Now, let's look at how you measure market value for a product. What do you check for? First, availability. Does that product deliver? Does it meet the need? Or does it solve the problem effectively? That's availability. A product is available when it can satisfy the customer. And a product is unavailable when it cannot satisfy the customer. Second thing you check for is accessibility. Is it found when needed? It's one thing for a product to be fantastic. It's another for you to find it when you need it. So your capacity to find a product when it is needed boils down to the accessibility of that product. The third thing you check for and measure is reliability. The quality and the standard of that product, is this consistent? The fifth thing is visibility. And for a product, what constitutes visibility is how well that product is known. How many people know of the existence of that product? What is the sphere, how many people, how far is that product known? Because people only buy what they know about. And so the number of people that know about the existence of a product boils down to the number of possible times that product can be sold. And 5, the fifth thing to check and measure is a physical appeal, the look and the feel of that product. Of course, again, people buy first with their emotions. And so how a product looks, how it feels, goes a long way to define its acceptability in the market. Now, each of these points have the same score, and they have a score of 2. So what to do is compile the points that you have for a particular product all over 10, and you have a score. Convert your score to a percentage. The third point, we want to measure the market value of a company or a brand. What are the things you check for? First is visibility. Visibility has to do with how well that brand is known. And of course, that can be traced to the marketing and advertising effort of that organization. Are there promotional literature that talk about this organization? Check for the visibility of this organization online and offline. Second thing you check for is the character. What is the character of that company? By character, I specifically refer to what provision, how much that organization actually cares for the customer. And so things like public display of a price list that ensures that the customer walks in to buy and is not manipulated by the workers. Things like documentation of whatever transactions are made, receipts, which means that if a customer has a complaint, he can walk in and actually get his problem addressed, and so on and so forth. And so character, the way the staff dresses, the appearance of the workers, all these things speak of how concerned that organization is about its image. The third thing you check for is operational model. The operational model of organization allows for that organization to serve the customer effectively. The operational model of organization also speaks of that organization's capacity to keep doing what it is doing. For example, the basic business inputs, are they available? Do we have management inputs going on, advertising, production, administration? These are basic things in organization. We call them business essentials. There are organizations that are into business and they just engage maybe 1 or 2. But for an organization to be able to stand the test of time, all the 6 essentials of business practice must be engaged in that place. Leadership is there, management is there, production, which is a core thing, and then marketing and administration. Of course, the 6th one is human resource management. These are the 6 basic business essentials, and every business that is, going to stand the test of time specifically has provision and has different workforce assigned to these different aspects of business inputs. So that's about operational model. And then the 4th thing to check for is operational facility. Check for signs of neglect. Check for signs of care. These are 2 things that sometimes you approach an organization and at the beginning, something has gone wrong with the signpost and it has been there for months and people are coming to work in that place. It has not been noticed. It has not been corrected. That is a sign of neglect. And so by the time you put all of these scores together, there are 5 points here. The 5th one is viability. Now, what do I mean by when something is said to be viable? When it has capacity to survive. And one of the things that constitutes viability is how much, it is being sold at a time, the turnover. So what is the turnover of that organization? Another thing that constitutes viability is the existence of targets. Does that organization have a destination? Does it have long-term goals? Does it have short-term goals? Things that drive day work. These are the things that constitute viability. What's the character of the platform? How long do people have to travel before they can pick up these products? Can these products be found almost anywhere? These are some of the things that make for the viability of that organization. And once again, these 5 points have equal value, 4 points each. And so putting all of them together will give you a total score of 20. So if you're rating an organization or if you're rating your own organization, you look at the points listed and you pick the ones that you have working for you, and all over 20. And once you have done that, produce the percentage of score. What I mean by that is this. If your score is 12 over 20, then what is the percentage of 12 over 20? Now, all that we have done so far is measure market value. After you have measured market value, you need to now come and rate that value that you have measured. And market value is rated as excellent, as above average, as below average, or as poor. And what do you use to rate? You use the percentage score. Now, a score of 90% and above is rated as excellent. A score of 60% to 89% is rated as above average. A score of 50 to 59% is rated as average. A score below 50% is rated as below average. And a score of below 40% is rated as poor. So, depending on the total percentage you arrived at, that allows you to rate either your own market value as an individual or that of another person as being excellent, as being above average, as being below average, or as being poor. Let me go over the scoring of the market value for an individual again. I said that vocational alignment is the first thing to score, and that one has a score of 3. I said the character is the next thing to score, and that has a score of 5. I said the next thing is the level of competence, and that has a score of 4. The fourth thing to score is visibility, and that has a score of 1. And the last thing you score is exposure / experience, and that has a score of 2. So if you put together all of these scores under the individual, what you have is 15. And so whatever you have scored, sometimes people have just one level of vocational alignment. Sometimes they have up to 2. For example, somebody who is coming to apply for work in your organization, say you are a school owner, and somebody walks in to apply for work, and you can check and you check, does this person have natural aptitude for teaching? If that person has, then that person already has a 3rd score of vocational alignment. But further you check, okay, does this person have formal training to add to his natural talent? These are some of the things that you use to evaluate. Now, I want to end by saying that this, what I have shared here allows you to have a general view of market value. But I want to say that if you're going to have detailed information about market value as regards an individual or a product or a brand, it is better to contact a professional to actually take you through. Because like the technical work skills, the general work skills, there are specific tests, literacy tests that are supposed to be administered to help you measure, does this person actually have the technical work skills he says he has? Does this person actually have basic life skills? And so on and so forth. And so these are some of the reasons why it is advisable to actually contact a professional to give you a market value rating. And usually that market value rating is given over to you in a written form, just like you go for a lab test, and at the end of the test you're given a sheet of paper that actually spells out your results. A professional who takes you or takes your product or takes your brand through market value rating will give you something, and that something now gives you information to plan and to work with.